Hey, New Life Church. My name is Tanner BZ, and I'm here to talk to you about the next generation. One of our main lanes of vision as a church is that we believe in the next generation. That's always been at the heart of our church because the next generation has always been in the heart of our pastors, Pastor Rick and Michelle. My mom and dad, Rick and Michelle, they were youth pastors back in the 90s. Does anybody remember the 90s? That's way back when. That's still when Sunday school teachers would smoke cigarettes in class and the youth were allowed to do lock-ins. That got canceled. But back in the 90s, they decided, my mom and dad, that they would always be youth pastors. Even whenever they became senior pastors, they decided that they would always look for somebody in the next generation to take a chance on. In 1 Samuel chapter 16, this is kind of what's going on. God had Samuel on a mission to look for somebody to take a chance on, to look for somebody in the next generation of leadership and to anoint them as king. And so he shows up to Jesse's home, and this is where we pick up in 1 Samuel chapter 16, verse 11. So he asked Jesse, this is Samuel, "Are these all the sons that you have?" "There is still the youngest," Jesse answered. "He is tending the sheep." Samuel said, "Send for him. We will not sit down until he arrives." So he sent for him and had him brought in. He was glowing with health, and he had a fine appearance and handsome features. Then the Lord said, "Rise and anoint him. This is the one." So Samuel took the horn of oil and anointed him in the presence of his brothers. And from that day on, the Spirit of the Lord came powerfully upon David. You know, all of us know about the great king that David would become, but what we have to understand in the story is that without Samuel, there would be no David. That it took Samuel, who saw something in David, to bring it out. That David obviously had a desire in him to lead and to make a difference, but he needed Samuel to take a chance on him. He needed Samuel to hand the keys to him. Sadly, in the church nationwide, handing over the keys to the next generation isn't going so well. Barna research found that 75% of the next generation who grew up in church is leaving the church after high school graduation. I'm guessing you're not cool with that stat. I know for sure I'm not okay with that stat. But the good news is that we have an opportunity as a church to do something about it, because another study found that the main reason students are leaving the church when they become adults is because during their upbringing inside of the church, they were never given a project. They were never given the keys, a chance for somebody to believe in them, a chance to be able to do something for the kingdom. Isn't that what the next generation needs? A church to believe in them, a church to take a chance on them, a church to hand them the keys? I met a pastor named Dan, who's been in church his entire life. When he got to be about 16 years old, his parents made him go to two places. He had to go to youth group on Wednesday nights, and he had to go work at McDonald's. Sounds like pretty good parents to me. Quickly, his manager at the McDonald's put a lot of trust in Dan and gave Dan the keys to unlock the store in the morning and made Dan the morning shift manager. Before school, he would show up there at 16 years old and he would get the hash brown fryers ready. He'd clean the bathrooms. He'd start cooking egg McMuffins. Dan said, "As for me and my McDonald's, our ice cream machine is always going to work." Amen. And by the time he was 17 years old, Dan was actually the co-manager of that store. As a junior in high school at a McDonald's, he was ordering all the Coca-Cola products and signed off on thousands of dollars of inventory. Not only did he have the keys to the building, but he was also given the keys to the safe. 17-year-old had the keys to the money. While in the meantime, at his youth group at church, Dan couldn't even get the keys to the storage closet to get a kickball. I want you to notice the contrast there. Where do you think Dan wanted to end up spending most of his time? The place, the church that didn't trust him to hand him the keys, or the place that gave him the keys to literally everything? You know, if our church is anything to the next generation, we have to be a church that says, "I'm willing to give the next generation the keys to this place." This isn't just going to be done at Next Gen Takeover, but we have to understand that we have to give the keys to our students. We have to give them serving responsibilities in our church all across our state every week of the year. Thankfully, this is actually already going on. The students that you saw serving, walking into church today, this isn't just a once a week thing. For many, they've made the choice that I'm going to do this weekly. There's a student named Aiden Diaz from our Cabot campus, serves on the Greek team faithfully. Another student named Bella Ward from the Fort Smith campus sings on the worship team, leads adults into worship. Colin Sproles from GLR does the exact same thing, loves leading people in worship. Eli Baker from our Fort Smith campus serves with our middle schoolers. And at VBS this last summer, Parker Redden from West Little Rock, that's my boy. I'm proud of you, little bro. He serves in Little Life multiple times a month. Colin Scuderi at the same campus, working production on that camera, getting trained up. All of these students, they look different. They all have different gifts, but all of them have one thing in common. They were all given the keys. All of them had a Samuel that believed in them, whether it was a parent that said, hey, we're going to serve together, or whether it was a serve team leader or just a volunteer at the church that says, I need you on my team. They were given a shot. Right now at the campus that I call home, there is a lady who definitely has the heart of Samuel. Her name is Susie. She is our Greet team leader. And she came up to me with a list a couple Sundays ago with 10 middle school and high schoolers' names on that list, and had a couple of the names circled. She says, hey, 8 have responded to me, but there's 2 names that I cannot get to reach back out to me, and they're ignoring me. I said, Susie, the students call that getting ghosted, and like that's what's happening. You're getting ghosted. She says, what does ghosted mean? She seems so offended by it. She said, does that mean that I can't count on them? And I said, it's kind of exactly what getting ghosted means. But then she looked at me, she said, you know what? I'm not okay with that. And then she pulled her phone out and proceeded to call both those dudes who weren't responding to her text probably 5 to 10 more times. They're going to end up getting a place at this church. If Susie's going to do anything, she's going to tell the next generation, I need you here because I believe in you. You deserve ownership here. Look, we have to get this as a church. We have to understand that the next generation needs ownership. I think it's the thing that is missing. Our vision for you as a church, every single one that attends New Life, is that you would become a fully devoted follower of Christ. What is a fully devoted follower? It's somebody that follows God, grows together, serves one another, and lives on mission. At most of our churches, most churches in America, we're teaching students how to follow God, how to grow with one another. But the thing that's missing in order for them to become a fully devoted follower of Christ that's living on mission is that bridge to serving one another, is that bridge to giving them a project. And that's exactly what we want to do. We need more students with projects. We need more students with ownership in our church. So if you're on a serve team, look for a David in the foyer. Bring them with you. Say, hey, I believe in you. I need your help. And if you're not on a serve team yet either, maybe that's your next step. Either way, we believe in the next generation. This isn't just a next gen takeover weekend. Right now, we are saying from this point forward, next generation, you have the keys to this place. You have ownership here. It's time to go.